Welcome to episode 2 of our Fall in Love podcast. I'm Quinn.
And I'm Carly.
We are taking you guys on the roller coaster ride that is being a realtor here in the Phoenix, Arizona area. Houses we've bought, houses we've looked at, and clients that we've helped, either bad stories, good stories, or indifferent. But today, we have a special one for you guys.
This is a story about a 5-acre property that we went to look at for ourselves personally. It was located off of Northern Parkway and Litchfield Road, roughly in that area, but 5 acres.
This was still pretty early on into our home purchasing journey, and we had really only been looking at 1 acre properties. 2 would have been awesome, but this one came up kind of in our price range, and so we headed out to look at it. Like many of our stories, we loaded up all the families and headed on out.
We sure did. The weirdest thing about this property was the fact that you had to drive down this dirt road, which is kind of typical of homes on acreage. But this road seemed a little sketch because running alongside it was railroad tracks, and on it were some abandoned railroad cars. Kind of cool for photos, but a little weird to just drive down the road.
Yeah, you actually had to exit off the main road into like a sharp almost 45 and then traverse over the train tracks and then track along them for about a half mile and then cut up north. It was just a really, really strange entrance to the property and to the little couple houses that were there.
Yeah. But once you turned into the property, you had probably an acre and a half of just irrigated grass before you even got to the house, which for me is a huge plus. I love irrigation because I love the green grass and the vegetation that comes along with irrigation, and especially for horses because horses love to graze on said grass.
Yeah, very mature trees. Like I said, the property was 5 acres. So there was about an acre up front. The house was on an acre. And then this property also had a 3-bay RV garage building on there with cutouts underneath to be able to work on the vehicles. They must have ran some sort of business out of there, I would assume. And then almost a back 3 acres, maybe 2 back acres that were there that was just completely unused, just a big giant property.
Yeah, it had like probably 6 stalls on it already pre-set up, and then a huge arena, just open space.
So you're like, well, did you guys buy it? Sounds perfect. We haven't told you anything about the house yet.
The house was in rougher condition. It was definitely still livable. It did reek of smoke and cat pee, so not ideal, but again, still things that you could fix. It did also have a swimming pool, which was a huge plus, in my opinion. But I don't know. We weren't quite sure.
The house needed quite a bit of work. We were able to meet the owners while we were there, and they were older. The property had become quite dilapidated at that point, and some deferred maintenance throughout the home and pool. The pool is going to need a new plaster before too long. And like I said, the house needed just about a full gut, and we were only 3 years into our marriage. No kids, so we could have done it. And looking back, I think it is one of our largest regrets that we didn't buy the property at the time. I think it was listed for $415.
Yeah.
Back in 2019? Somewhere right around there. Just an absolute killer of a deal for 5 acres that we could have found a use for all of the property. I mean, we love maximizing space here. And the house was big. The house was, I think, close to 1,800 square feet too. But I think at the time we were just overwhelmed with what had to be done, and we hadn't done any flips to this point. So our expertise was pretty low. Looking back, we absolutely could have done it, and we should have done it and found a way to do it because the property was just in such a good location. Now, it does border up against Northern Parkway, which has become busier and busier, so we might not have loved staying there forever, but man, the opportunities there were boundless.
Yeah, you can do a lot with 5 acres. It would have been a really cool opportunity to raise our family and all of our animals, but it's definitely one of the houses that I'd say we both agree kind of got away from us.
Yeah, regrets. Life is full of them. You got to move on and live from the choices learn from the choices you've made, and make sure the next opportunity that you have doesn't slip away. Now,
Yeah.
the key to some of those properties not slipping away is to make sure that when you are ready to buy a property, you get pre-qualified, you have all your documentation submitted to the lender. That way, when we're out touring properties with you and we find a property like the 5 acres that's absolutely perfect and you're ready to jump on it, you can immediately. We don't have to wait around for anything and lose it to someone else. So just a little tip for you guys: make sure all of your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed before really looking at properties. Otherwise, well, like us, you'll live with the regret that you talk about at least once a year.
Yeah, speaking of regrets, our next episode will be on one of Quinn's biggest regrets of properties that we didn't buy.
I have a lot of those, actually.
This is the one that he brings up probably the most.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, you'll have to tune in for episode number 3 to find out which property that is, why that is, and what we could have done differently.
Yep. See you all next time.